know you're going to talk to other people that have been abducted, and they're going to tell you about the fear. And the fear never goes away, ever. It will be with you till the day you die.
There's something damned true here that's got to be gotten out to the public, because until it is gotten out, people are passive. They're helpless. They're sitting there just letting it happen to them and not knowing what it is.
I don't want any other person, as long as they live, to have to go through what I've been through.
My colleagues and I have heard from tens of thousands of abductees over the years from around the world.
Abduction is happening. It's a true physical event that's happening to perhaps millions of people.
I would say that 95% of the people that came to me at the ministry with an abduction account came with every degree of sincerity.
Someone's taken my son away and doing, showing him things and doing things to him. You know, I like to know why.
If there is, in fact, some non-human intelligence in using some kind of non-human technology, suddenly interacting with us, it's the biggest event in human history. Hypnosis, of course, has been the whipping boy of the skeptics, because it's used very frequently in this. Hypnosis can very, very easily be misused. If a very clever interrogator can lead somebody in normal conversation, which we know if you watch lawyers in action, but just in normal conversation, people can be led, seduced, changed, almost against their will, so that the whole story becomes different. Under hypnosis, it's even easier to do that.
Okay. I feel ashamed.
What are you ashamed of?
Being frightened.
That's a perfectly natural reaction to anything unusual, out of the ordinary.
I don't understand what's going on.
Now, what we know about the way normal memory works is that the more often you tell a story, the more you are inclined to remember the story you told rather than the original event. And at its most extreme, this can become what's called false memory, where a memory can feel absolutely real, like a memory, and yet have been created by your own telling of the story.
We saw an object that we could not identify. It was just hovering in the sky. It was perfectly round, silver in color, and sometimes the sun would shine on it in such a way that it looked as if there was some blue on the object.
So are abductees really experiencing what they say, or are they making it up? Leah Haley claims she was abducted several times from her home in Gulf Breeze, Florida, and then taken into what she describes as an alien spacecraft. She wrote several books on the subject and now lectures on alien abductions around the world. Although her memories of the event were solely recovered under hypnosis, she maintains that they really did happen to her.
I didn't remember everything about the experience, but I did remember being in a round room that had very bright, intense light, and I was lying on a flat platform on my back, and I remembered aliens standing all around me performing medical experiments on me. They had solid black eyes, 2 little holes for a nose. I couldn't remember a mouth at all. They didn't have any hair, they didn't have any ears, and I remembered that I felt very calm, not afraid at all, but it was like I was paralyzed. I couldn't just get up and move around. It was like a medical subject.
Like many abductees, Leah suffered alienation and derision from her friends and family after she went public. Despite this, she stands by her story and now campaigns for this phenomena to be taken seriously.
I got fired from a job that I loved because I felt that it was important to go public with my story. My older daughter, who is 24 years old, disowned me because I went public with my story. She got married last July. I was not invited to the wedding. I was told by my own child that she never wanted to hear from me again. She never wanted to see me again. As far as she was concerned, I was dead because I had embarrassed the family by talking about my experiences.
Keen to prove that she was telling the truth, she agreed to allow a former FBI profiler, Paul Miner, carry out a detailed polygraph examination on her.
I was a polygraph examiner for the Army up until 1978, and at that time I went over to the FBI and was the chief polygraph examiner for the FBI from 1978 until the end of 1987, when I left and set up my own business, a security firm in Fairfax, Virginia. Do you intend to lie to me in any way during this polygraph test?
No. It seemed very real, just as real as my being here, conscious, talking right now.
Do you claim to have been abducted by alien beings?
Yes. It was very difficult for me to accept the reality of it. I tried to explain it away as a dream.
Are you lying about being gynecologically examined by aliens in a spacecraft?
No. I said to myself, you know, how could aliens get into my house? All of the doors and windows were locked. But it seemed so real that I had to go and check every door and window and convince myself that they were all locked.
Are you afraid that you might fail this polygraph test?
Yes. The polygraph exam is extremely nerve-wracking and stressful to take the exam because one doesn't know how accurately a machine reads the material. You know, it's like, I know I'm telling the truth, but how can a machine tell whether I'm telling the truth or not?
Tell me how she now did on the test. Did she pass or fail?
It showed that she was deceptive, and not only is it my opinion that she was strongly deceptive, but there's a program in the computer here that was done by Johns Hopkins University. And I scored the charts on that, and it says deception strongly indicated the probability of deception being greater than 0.99. So that's almost certain.
No doubt in your mind that she was trying to deceive us?
No doubt in my mind.
There's not even an element that she believes it, but it may not have happened to her?
No, if she believed it, it would show that she was telling the truth. But it shows here that she does not believe it, and she knows that this did not occur.
Certainly in some cases where individuals have reported full-blown abduction experiences, independent witnesses who were present in the room with them at the time reported that physically they had not left the room. In other words, the entire experience was taking place inside their own heads. Now, if we know that that can happen in some cases, I think the burden of proof is then on those who are making the stronger claims that people really are being taken aboard flying saucers to show that that's not what's happening in all of the cases.
Whilst the vast majority of abduction reports come from the United States, it is in fact a worldwide phenomena, with thousands of cases being reported in the United Kingdom alone. The man who was responsible for investigating these reports on behalf of the UK government was Nick Pope.
Whilst it's true to say that other people within various governments have conducted official research into UFOs, which has mirrored the work that I did at the ministry, to the best of my knowledge, I am the only person in the world ever to have conducted official research and investigation into the alien abduction phenomenon. Some people said to me when I was at the ministry, "Why are you wasting time looking into alien abductions?" I said, as long as people report these experiences to me, I have a duty to take their claims seriously. Some of these people were phoning up in a great state of distress. What was I supposed to do? Hang up on them?
UFO, another one.
One of his cases was Peter and Diane Shepherd, who saw a large, brightly lit UFO outside their house in the country.
There in front of us, across the road, the main road, were the most amazing lights in the sky to our left. There were quite a number of them, and they were actually coming from our left, crossing over the road, and then they were coming in front of us and going to the right.
This was a field length away, by the way. These lights were at treetop height. But around the red was like a halo effect of flashing, sparkling, brilliant white flashes were going off.
So there you go, you see it.
We were all stunned, obviously, by what we were seeing. I mean, our reality was completely shattered. This was something that wasn't supposed to happen.
How can something, you know, how could this be? This is, I mean, it's a shattering experience. You can't believe it. I was excited, a little bit afraid, a little bit uneasy because of the size of this thing. It was all...
The basic experience itself, I wouldn't dispute, often did seem to that person to take place the way they describe it. The question is how we interpret what happened. Did they just have some kind of very rich and complex hallucination that's what was happening?
So there you go, you see there's a reference point, blah blah blah. UFO, another one.
Another bizarre case was Anne and Paul Andrews, whose son, Jason, was repeatedly visited by a UFO throughout his childhood. On each occasion, their house would begin to shake wildly, a bright light would come through the doors and windows, and Jason would make his way to the front door and out into their garden. He would disappear for hours on end.
I mean, the initial reaction is absolute terror. You know, you sort of, you know, you're running around like a headless chicken. You know, you don't know whether to phone the police or what to do. You know, you're just sort of standing there, you know, just sort of screaming at each other. You know, the second reaction is anger, you know, real anger that, you know, this can happen. You know, why can you not do anything about it? It's like when Jason was younger, you know, he would come to us and say, you know, I hate them for taking me, but I hate you for not stopping them. You know, you feel very angry, you feel very frustrated, you know, and you also feel very, very upset that this is going on sort of in your own home, in your own house, where you're supposed to protect your children and keep them safe. You can't do anything about it.
Some people have speculated that we're dealing, when we talk about the greys, with what humans one day evolve into. And it's been suggested that we're dealing with people from the future coming back through time to take genetic material, perhaps to revitalise the human race.
He told us that was what was happening to him. I mean, he'd told us for years that he was being taken away by little men, you know. I mean, this was when he was sort of 4 or 5, you know. He was saying, well, these little men come into my room and they make me go away with them, you know. Of course, we're saying, well, nobody can get in, you know, the doors are locked, you know, Mummy and Daddy are here to protect you, you know, all the usual thing that parents say. So, I mean, it was him that was insisting to us that this is what was going on.
Someone's taking my son away and doing, showing him things and doing things to him. You know, I like to know why. And if I could, I'll stop it.
At the end of the day, my best assessment
And because this is a view I formed at the ministry, I guess you could call it an official assessment, is that yes, we are dealing with extraterrestrials, and yes, the alien abduction phenomenon is real in a physical sense.